Well, hello, good people. Welcome to Straight from the Dome, session number 24. Coming to you from Cape Fear Winery this weekend. If you haven't already subscribed, you have time to do so. Hit me up. Today's session is entitled Be Careful How You Treat People. Now, this ain't nothing you haven't heard before, and you never know who you may have to give the last drink of water to, and you never know who may have to give you your last drink of water. So please be careful how you treat people. Now, this is serious today because we take advantage of each day and don't mind how we do people. You have to be careful, how you treating people, because you never know who you may need in a time of crisis. Besides, you don't want to catch that wrath of your evil hand. You don't want to catch that wrath. So be careful. Sometimes we act out before we think things through, you know. Sometimes jealousy or hurt and pride drives our actions off the cliff. This is why we need God in our lives to help keep us sane and to encourage us to do what is right. Often we don't think about the later because we stuck on the now. That's our problem. We never know what a person is going through, and we cause a setback or massive drama when we speak too quickly or with no compassion. Sometimes family can be the worst nightmares because one or more may be jealous or feel threatened by another. Sometimes we as parents have a closer bond to one child over the other, which causes strife sometimes. For example, parents, it's a difference when you have children that remain in the home from birth to adulthood than a child that's raised by a grandparent or the parent's mom or a relative. And the child is separated from the parent and they live outside of the home, so it's a difference between that child and the child that's reared at home. You know more about that one because you see them every day and you have established an active relationship with them. However, the child or adult which doesn't stay in the home never stays over, you can't possibly bond in the same way because there's more distance between you and them. And that's with any family member. That's why we must keep the love between long distance family members by reaching out to them at least, twice a month. The younger ones should reach out to the older ones out of respect and decency. When we don't, that's how families get distorted and love is lost and family doesn't know other family. Perfect example, I used to keep my niece all the time when she was younger and we had a bond. But once she moved away and had children of her own, I hardly ever saw her, which causes a break in our bond, and it caused her children not even to know their auntie. So this is what I'm trying to, establish between what I'm saying about a parent and children of the home or family members of the home, again, in opposition to children that's not of the home. You can call these people that's the family or whatever close family that's away. You can call them every day. You can write or you can text message them. It's still not the same as face-to-face time and memories. But regardless of family, away or near, we must treat one another with love and respect. Help the needy but not the greedy. Feed the hungry but not the abuser. By abuser, I'm talking about the people that just uses you. Keep coming to you because they know you'll do it. Not that they so much as need it, but just abusing your niceness. Be careful how you treat people because it will come back to you far worse than you dishing out. Which brings me to a family story in Genesis chapter 37 through 50 of what I'm talking about. Perfect example. I'm going to try to simplify it for time's sake. It was a young boy named Joseph. He was the baby of 10. Jacob, Israel, was the father. Joseph had the ability to read dreams, and he often dreamed dreams and knew what they meant. His dad loved that about him. You know, he was favored. His dad had a special cloak made, a tunic made for him. Joseph's brothers got mad. Here come the jealousy and the strife because Joseph was favored by Jacob, the dad. Joseph had dreams, and his dreams they was felt. They meant something. His dream indicated that his brothers would one day bow down to him. This really teed them off, Jealousy and envy kicked in big time. So they plotted to kill him. They ended up dropping him off in a pit instead of kill him with no water. But Judah gassed the other ones up to just sell Joseph off instead of leaving him in the pit. So first they was going to kill him. Then they decided, no, don't kill him. Let's throw him in the pit with no water. And then they pulled him out of the pit and say, no, let's sell him for 20 shekels of silver. And they took his tunic and staged it up like Joseph had been devoured by animals. They took it to their dad. So their dad would believe that some animals had killed him. He wouldn't be looking for Joseph. And guess what, honey? Joseph was later taken down to Egypt. And guess what? Joseph became the man, honey. I'm telling you, he became the man. This is Genesis chapter 39. And let me tell you, honey, not only was he the man, everybody was liking him over there in Egypt where he had got sold off to. That man was fine. You know what I'm saying? So, he had possession, well, not really possessions, but he had a name for himself, and he was good looking, which caused a problem because next thing you know, he was brought down to Pharaoh's house, and he was hanging around there, he was popular and stuff and looked good. Next thing you know, Pharaoh's wife went to looking at him. She had caught the hots for him. And she did everything in her might to get that man to lay down with her. You talking about something disgraceful for a woman to throw herself at a man? Well, that's what she did. And this was Pharaoh's wife. So one day she pulled on him and stuff, caught him in their house by herself, scheming. And that man fled from her. And where she pulled on him, she pulled his garment off of him. And she had the garment, and he done fled off. So she said, I'm going to fix that. So she tried to stage it up like the man raped her, yelling out to the other men in the house after Joseph ran off, talking about some, he tried to force himself on me. Lying. And when the word got back to Pharaoh, Pharaoh put that man in prison. He said, good as I've been to you, brought you up in my house, taking care of you, got you all flying stuff, and you're going to try to come at my wife? And locked the man up. And came to pass that the people in the prison loved Joseph. He was reading dreams up in there and stuff, and the word got back to Pharaoh about what he was doing. And the reason why it was a click now, because Pharaoh started having dreams, and he ain't know what the dreams meant, and he kept, trying to get different people to tell him what the dreams he was having meant, and nobody could tell him. But they told him, they say, yo, it's a man that you got locked up down there. He know how to read dreams, yo. You better go check him out. So Pharaoh sent for Joseph. And Joseph helped Pharaoh out, you know. And this changed the whole concept that Pharaoh had of Joseph once he realized Joseph, could help him out. And Joseph was released from prison. And he saved the land from famine and was rewarded as ruler of the land. And anybody that come to get help from Pharaoh had to go through Joseph. So, the Lord was on Joseph's side through all of that. All that stuff he done been through. And Joseph became what? It again, honey. And Pharaoh gave him a new name. And guess what? And gave him a wife. Not his wife, but he gave him a wife. When it was years of famine, after the lands had to come to Egypt for food, guess who had to come to Egypt because famine had hit their land? Joseph's brothers that had tried to kill him. Joseph tried hard to play, the hard role, but in the inside, he was so happy to see his brothers. And after a trip or two back and forth to Egypt from their land, Joseph, discovering that his dad was still living, he revealed to his brothers who he really was, because they didn't even recognize Joseph. He had done changed so much, which is in Genesis chapter 45, verses 3 and 4. If you could just imagine their faces when Joseph told them who he was, boy, that was something to see. Not only did it come to pass that they would come to him and bow down to him, but not only once, but twice they had to do this. And they was bowed down to him, just as in his dream, without him asking them to do that. But because they was in a place so low and they were starving in their land, they had to come to Joseph begging for food or money for food. But Joseph was determined that he wanted to see his dad, and he loved on his brothers. When he finally, admitted to them who he was, he loved on them. And they felt, could you imagine the loneliness they felt? The same man that they own flesh and blood, they tried to kill or leave for dead and then sell off, was here helping them. They felt bad. And Joseph's dad journeyed to Egypt to see him. And when they saw each other, tears just fell down and they just hugged and loved with compassion. Joseph vowed to his dad, and his dad blessed his children, his sons, and later died at 147. Joseph's dad did. And Joseph died at 110 years old. The objective here is Joseph could have left his brothers and fathers to starve to death, because the blessings of having food was in the hands of Joseph. But Joseph had compassion. He did not try to get back at them. He had forgiveness. Even though they faked his death, left him for dead and all that, and sold him off, honey, he still had love for them. Be careful how you treat people, because them same brothers that did that to him had to come back to him for food of survival. And thank God, Joseph wasn't that person that liked to get back, try to get back at somebody. He had love and compassion even though he was hurt. He was happy to see his brothers and his dad still living, Had it been the average person, that family would have been good as dead. And had Joseph been a dog, he would have slept with Pharaoh's wife. She practically threw herself on him. How many men would have walked away from a dime piece and she throwing it all on him? When Joseph saved the land, including Pharaoh and his family, from that severe famine, Pharaoh's whole mind had changed. He went from mad to glad. The last person he expected to help him was the very man who he had thrown in prison And the man still helped him, you know. So, all of that to say this, please be careful how you treat people. And he knew the whole time Joseph hadn't raped his wife. He's just trying to save face, you know. Give you some pointers. If you don't already know, you know, common sense don't click in with everybody. But anyway, find out the facts before you react. Put yourself in someone else's shoes before you convict somebody. Have forgiveness, because in order for somebody to forgive you, you have to be forgiven first. Ask for forgiveness. Ask the Lord for forgiveness. Because when you got forgiveness in your heart and you forgive other people, the Lord will forgive you. You don't have to be a doormat for people, but you don't have to be a firecracker or an explosive either. Love your neighbor as yourself. Don't expect more than what you're dishing out. Forgive in order to be forgiven once again. And don't argue with fools, because you'll be there all day. Remember, the battle isn't yours. It is the Lord's. And I just want to say, you know, I tell you this every session. I love you. Pray daily. Not deadly. Daily. And remember that I'm always here. Not only on Straight from the Dome, but you know where I live, you know where I work, and you know I'm on YouTube every weekend. Inbox me, call me, come by. I'm always here to be a listening ear and to help you in any way that I can. Only because I love you, and that's the type of person that I am. And I hope you'll come back next weekend and join me again for session number 25, Straight from the Dome. Peace.